So I'm sitting here somewhere at the borderline of Czech Republic and Poland. B. Welcome. I will cover how the MTB Trilogy went for me, what I think about the organization, the race courses, etc. To actually give you some perspective what MTB Trilogy was about, I came to one of the steepest descents of stage 3, which was not the steepest from the race and not the hardest neither, but I walked a good amount of it. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe not. In case if you ever had this race on your radar or you are hearing about it for the first time, it will give you quite a good overview what to expect coming here. Either for race or not necessarily. I ride here a few days before the race, haven't checked the race courses except small little part of stage 1 because I thought Prologue is 10 kilometers, why bother? The race is long and it's only a few minutes here and there. Also, the race start was not where I lived, so I just decided to skip it. However, thanks to Martin, who kindly suggested me to check the race course on the race day in the morning because the start was in the afternoon. I went there basically because she showed me one descent which looked extremely hard. Even though I could just walk it, I actually did most of it during the race. Anyways, knowing that was beneficial, so I went there, checked the race course, being terrified by a few places, and pretty much I knew that I'm going to walk them, and that actually happened during the race. But I will cover everything stage by stage so you could get the whole overview what to expect here. Important thing, we've been recording on boards with Ivars Dažniks from Latvia. Most of the race coverage from 2 cameras. Ivars was a bit faster than me. Well, a bit maybe harsh to say because it was from 15 to 20 minutes per day within 4 to 5 hours, so that was significant gap. But anyways, we will have those on boards and they, I guess, turned out quite interesting, just like it was in Sudeti MTB Challenge last year, where we did that together with Ivars. Back to Prologue, the starts were in 30 seconds gap, where riders being released in intervals, so that means that most likely you won't get into queues, and that was good. Ivar started a bit earlier than me and he had quite a great time out there. He eventually turned out to be 6th, but it was quite a good performance. And for me, one last thing which I haven't told about the Prologue and how recon went is that I came here with Wolfpack speed tires 2.4s, which in my opinion on soft terrain works quite well. The only issue is that here, what I had imagined versus what I have found was completely different story. So high knob tires with spacious knobs and tread pattern, in my opinion, doesn't work at all here, unless you could ride with significantly low tires pressure, but I'm already riding quite low, and those tires on hard packed terrain and dusty one, like for me, they're a disaster. And I crashed once during recon, and in general it was extremely hard to stop the bike on dusty terrain. So after recon I went back home and I changed them to Pirellis H in front and XCRC at the back. I can't say that it was an ideal decision, but during the Prologue on the descents where I was not even able to stop during recons, I confidently been able to do that on the race where my pace was significantly faster. For me, that's an indication of 2 things. Those speed tires on hard packed are not good, or I'm just biased. I don't know. But basically on Prologue everything went exactly as I have expected. I walked through sections because they were not worth risking, in my opinion, when you don't know exactly the lines. So I decided not to, and I finished 30 5th in overall, I guess, and 7th in age group. If you know me, results for me are secondary thing. It's more important to praise yourself and get better over time rather than focus only on results. But I might talk more about that in upcoming days. Last thing on Prologue, well, it had to be somewhat between 30 and 40 minutes, and ideally in such scenarios I take one gel with me and consume it like 20 minutes after the race kicks in, because the effort is hard. Most of the time there are steep uphills where we push pretty much full gas, but here I forgot to take the gel. It didn't make, of course, any difference on the day, but looking retrospectively in the future days, having those extra carbs probably wouldn't hurt at all. That was a mistake I made on the Prologue. Stage 1 consisted of more than 60 kilometers and 2.2k of elevations. My tactics for the start: always go full gas and try to make a bit of a gap before the single tracks begin, so that way you are not getting stuck in the single tracks and have nothing to complain about. And it worked quite well. Maybe I pushed a bit too hard, and on the second uphill of the day, I guess, I crashed in a ridiculous place where it was, I don't know, lost the moment of focus, and that resulted in a fall where I hit my elbow a bit of side as well, and it just knocked my confidence significantly. It happened like half an hour from the race start, maybe a bit more, but for remaining parts of the stage it was extremely hard to focus on descents because they were bumpy, fast, and quite slippery. When you crashed in random place, it shouldn't affect your confidence going down, but it did. It was mind games, really. It was extremely hard. Whenever I see that the descents are too technical for me or I can't make right decision where to go, I don't mind to go off the bike. And as you will see in upcoming days, that kind of was the main theme of the race. Worth mentioning that I've been riding Marathon A, which is the longest distance. There are also B and C, and at the same time there are enduro sections where guys with enduro bikes race speed sections on the race course. So we've been riding the same thing as those enduro guys, just on XC bikes, and we've been doing the whole course where wear time was only timed on those speed sections. So I don't know, probably it's common in enduro world to race like that, but I don't know whether it's that common that guys with XC bikes go through the same sections. If you are aware about that, you can share in the comments, but probably that's the main difference of Trilogy compared to other races which happens around, like in Poland, Sudety Challenge, Bike Adventure. They are just stage races and that's pretty much it. Where here there are also enduro sections, and those enduro sections really makes a difference for those who can both climb well and descend well in ridiculously technical places. So we'll see on stage 2 mainly, as well as a bit of stage 3, how it happened to be ridiculously hard. Just like usually happens, I push full gas from the start, then Ivars catches me back somewhere within 20 to 1 hour, and then he disappears in a flash. Pretty much that was the same on stage 1 as well. The only thing which I can point out about the footage of stage 1 is that all of a sudden all the shots from like hour and a half become pretty much almost black, so exposure went so much down in a flash without like any hits, crashes or whatever. It just happened. So if you know the reasons why it could have been like that, please let me know in the comments. I will try to fix the footage as much as possible, but from my past experiences I had that issue once in 5 years. So it's second time and it happened on different GoPro camera, not the same one, so I don't know what are the reasons, but yeah, it was a bit of annoying because you carry the camera, you carry power bank, etc. Ivers did the same thing, and then so after not that much successful first half, Then the back pain started out of nowhere. I had no clue what to do and just hope that the stage will finish and everything will be better next day. It pretty much did, but in different scenarios. So stage 2 had around 70 kilometers and almost 3K of elevation, which is a lot considering this terrain where the climbs are as much as, I don't know, 300 to 400 meters of elevation in a single chunk at the most, and then in some places it's ridiculously steep, etc. One thing which I can throw a stone into organizers' field is that having no gates in the race course when there are different distances is like a nonsense decision, where some has common sense and they don't go in front, others don't, and even though the start is neutralized and you can push through your elbows, etc., to the place where you potentially might want to be, I can't see the reason why to do that. Then they are just racing in not exactly the same courses, different categories, etc. And that kind of also backfired in some cases where I got stuck or someone crashed in front of us. So through the safety perspective, it's always better to separate those distances, at least in the starting gates, because if it's neutralized, anyone can shuffle anyways, but at least it gives that first batch of sorting, which can help out. Because we had Prologue on the first stage, it would have been common sense to sort everyone in the gates even by results, but despite the fact, just separating by distances would have been smart. Other thing which annoyed a bit is that stage 1 start was delayed by 20 minutes while we've been standing in the gates already. Stage 2 maybe by 10 or something like that. So the reason why I say that's annoying, it's kind of not a big deal, but first you have to come up to the gate a lot earlier in order to be somewhere not at the back. Secondly, no information is given in English. I mean, there are still international people out there, so just telling one sentence without all that fluff which is being said in national language would have been nice in international race. Just the start will be later, blah blah blah, and that's it. I would say that this critic is not because making someone feel bad, but maybe just reconsider the actions and improve for the future. That's just me, my opinion, and because it's my channel, I can share that. So the start of stage 2 was again pretty much similar. I went full gas because there was a bit of a climb, then single tracks down, and everything went really well, except the fact we got stuck after one guy on the hardtail who was suffering a lot because it was like proper rooty uphill, and then it started descending and the guy crashed in front of me like, I don't know, 10 meters ahead. Somehow I managed to avoid him, but not for long enough. The branch got stuck in my crank somehow, and I've been trying to fix it while riding, and all of a sudden there was stone drop, which I haven't noticed at the right time, and I turned and it was already a bit too late. So I kind of went on the side, and yeah, that getaway being a bit lost, but it still was not that bad. Turned back the handles, the brake levers, which kind of flipped, and continued riding. That full gas from the start usually works for me to the degree where if I know that there will be like second climb or the long first climb, I try to stay with the group as much as possible, as much as I can, and then I just let them go and continue on my pace. That works for me. Maybe it wouldn't work for you, but on this stage it worked brilliantly. At the time where I decided that I will leave those guys alone, I was already with a huge gap from the ones who are following from the back, so that was beneficial until the point where we reached the top of the climb and we started descending. And the descent was extremely steep, and even though through the camera it doesn't actually look like it is in reality, it was very steep, very loose. I almost crashed a few times, kind of tried to calm myself down, and then an elite woman arrived. I tried to follow her, not like follow, but at least ride on the bike and not walk. I got so much speed in one section that I thought that I'm going to crash, because when I am not able to control the speed, it becomes really difficult. And on this hard surface, slippery terrain, dusty terrain, it's like not for my skills, I could say that. And then I had to walk a lot on that day. There were a few sections where it been, for me, absolutely impossible to ride. For enduro guys, maybe for someone XCs, but those sections, without knowing them, you either have to be crazy to do it or extremely skilled. So that's the only two sides. So you either know the course and you are skilled and you can do it, or you don't know the course but you are skilled and you can do it, or you don't know the course and you are crazy. Because there were such sections where, I don't know, it was even hard to walk down because it's literally a wall. I don't know, like that, where you can't put your feet down because it just slides down. The markup on this stage was, I wouldn't say average, it was fine, but you know, sometimes when the ribbons are put on like fire road, etc., someone would still be able to cross them through, and it's unavoidable. But if someone crossed them through, when they are there, imagine how easy it is to miss the corner when they are not. So that happened a few times on like technical sections where it's kind of very hard to go on the bike, lip in on into the loose terrain. I also walked a lot, and then it just drained my, I guess, mental strength as well, where it becomes so cognitively loaded that I was not able to make decisions at the right time, and I was slamming on the brakes with my all forearms in like soreness, or other way around, I had to just go off the bike because I was not able to pick up the line because it was so technical and so demanding in many ways that I think this was one of the hardest stages I did, not necessarily because it was mentally hard. I don't mind walking off the bike, but then you're not even able to walk that section literally, and you either slide or fall or whatever. It just adds that additional hardness on the day. Somehow I had to find a way how to calm myself down, and I tried to do that, but it was extremely hard, and I've been swearing a lot. And based on what I talked with others and what I saw in Strava, etc., so it seems that quite a lot experience similar things. Well, maybe some who are aware of that terrain, like they knew what to expect, and that didn't surprise them that much. But then you don't know and you get what you got. It was, I don't know, it was hard in many ways. But on the brighter side, I finished in a bit more than 5 hours. I got lost towards the end a few times, but my power was better than the stage one. And one of the potential reasons why I decided it happened like happened is because after stage one, my seat post got dropped by more than 1 centimeter. So I put it back, I tightened it with proper wrench, etc., and maybe that helped, maybe not necessarily. But what definitely didn't help is that because of the arm, I was not able to sleep pretty much up to 4 a.m. I wouldn't say that it was without sleeping, but it was conscious sleeping, where every move I felt the hand and pain, and I didn't have any medicine to take, which is coming to such races very bad thing. But I got it sorted after a stage. Always have some painkillers with you, as well as like spray to clean yourself. I went to medical staff after the race stage, and she cleaned it and she asked my number. Like she's holding the phone and like, can you tell me your number? I don't know if someone's asking my number by holding the phone, I told her my number, so like +370 country code of Lithuania, and then she's no, I need your bib numbers. Yeah, that just kind of showed that the brain also wasn't working that much after stage 2. I don't know where to go. You sure?
I don't know. Like here.
But should we follow those arrows? So after that type of stage 2, where it was so mental, it was really hard to come to the start of stage 3 with proper focus. You don't know the race course which is going to happen, and based on your already expectations you had on first 2 stages, you know that potentially you might have to walk again a lot. And it's not about that you can't, it's about that your legs are sore, your hands are sore. I mean, literally, this race probably would have beneficial a lot massages, because it was so dreadful on the body, all the knocks and roots and bumps. I don't know, maybe I'm getting older, who knows. It was, by the feeling, the worst I ever had. Sometimes I share some bits from the race, not sometimes, all the time, on Instagram. So if you follow me at Crafted on Instagram, you can get those bits as we actually happen. I've been living 10 kilometers from the race start, so back and forth I did like 20 kilometers for warm-up and cool down, which was kind of good. From the morning you don't want to spin those legs too much, and I came to the gates a bit late on stage 3 and being quite far back. It's worth mentioning that I'm trying to go a bit more in front on the neutralization, not because I'm cocky, arrogant or whatever, but because of safety reasons. I just hate that feeling when someone slams on the brakes rather than just braking subtly. Others looks around for some reason, they don't see that, then they slam on the brakes as well. So I would rather try to avoid that by spending few more watts to go a bit more closer in front, where guys potentially don't do that, rather than go in that mess. So that's the only reason why I do that. And the reason why I point this is that once the start was given, I been overtook by quite a lot of guys. In one degree, I assume that they are stronger by watts per kilogram, that's for sure. But the other is, I'm pretty sure that I'm on the lower side of the tires pressure which I'm using. So I've been using 123 bars in front and 1.4 at the rear, in 2.4 tires. So being 80 plus kilograms guy, that's low. There were a few occasions where, let's say, we're riding on the tarmac, the guys are just in the group, where I pedal as hard as I can and I can hardly close that gap. So that's kind of an indication already that it's not necessarily about the watts, but also about the rolling resistance. I'm sitting here in that so the first climb, again, I went hard. I've been trying to go hard up to the third descent, which essentially was a bit of gravelish and then into single track. Everything went fine. The guy in front of me got disappeared a bit, but that was not an issue. The issue was that I've been chased by the horse. I've been riding downhill and I noticed from the left that the horse is running towards me, but there was a fence and there was kind of no problems about that. However, once we kind of went into intersection where his path crossed mine, I noticed that no, there is no gate there. I moved to the right, somehow he stopped as well. He didn't knock me off from the bike, that's good. I've been riding kind of smiling and laughing because I saw people going to try to stop him or whatever. And then I took few sides through the back, he's running towards me. And that kind of triggered my survival mode. I've been pushing 800 watts. I'm like watching it through the back and I can see that it's working. The gap is not closing up, but he's running, and he's running not slowly, but like proper run. So it was, I don't know, terrifying. And on stage 3, which is actually 4th stage if we count the prologue in, my maximum heart rate was exactly during that time that the horse been following me, and it was 163, so it's 20 beats less, at least 20 beats less than usually. So that just shows the fatigue I carried and got on the race day already. And that sprint didn't help me at all. But before I talk about it more, there was a moment where I cognitively tried to find a place where I could just drop the bike and hop. The horse has been following me. Oh fuck. Oh my god. Oh my god. On in order to avoid the horse, and there were like grass cubes on the left. And I thought that if the horse will be still there if I look last time, probably I should do that because I don't know his intentions, and I definitely don't want to know them when my power just shuts off. So that was not funny, but it's funny now, but it was absolutely not funny back then. So that being said, apparently that was the only match I had on the day, and from that moment I've been extremely suffering. I didn't expect that it will come like that, but it happened, and I had extremely hard time going uphill, which normally I would love. It's a bit rooty, bit technical, not too steep, so it's like my type of riding, but it was very hard first. And the other is that for me it felt that suspension is absolutely not working. Like, it's been shaking so much that I couldn't feel my hands, and I was not able to understand what are the reasons for that. So once we got to the descent where majority of people got off the bike and they walked, I tried to check low speed compression, which counterclockwise just loosens up, and clockwise it just becomes firmer. So I successfully went it to the opposite of firmer. Then I tried to do more clicks to firm, and it didn't work, so I had to stop, like holding with shaking hands, etc. And that was quite steep downhill, where I've been fascinated how others did it with control and focus, etc. And also it kind of inspired me to hop on the bike and try to do the same thing successfully. A bit slower for sure, but it was fine. Overall, stage 3, looking from the perspective of stage 2, was like day and night experience where majority of the trails were rideable. In some cases I had to hop off the bike because I just chosen the wrong path, wrong line, and then it required me to either risk what I don't want to do or hop off the bike, so I decided the latter. This stage was real nice, and whenever you see the skull, that's kind of a good indication that you have to pay more attention, and that happened pretty much exactly where I'm sitting here. That there were a few skulls where I kind of like, it's not that bad like it was in other sections, but now once I walked there I realized why those were there, because if you go like 1 meter to the right, I can't say that you are gone, but you would have a bad time. So that was probably the reason why I was there. But there was descent where, I don't know, if in the best case scenario, pretty much like I said on stage 2 in some descents, if I would do it recons for those sections 10 times, maybe I would be able to, but only maybe. That just shows that here you have to have technical skills, unless you don't mind walking for, I don't know, 3 minutes maybe. So you can imagine that every of such stoppage where you stop, go off the bike, walk, not able to walk, try to find different line, etc., is so costly in terms of the times wise. And the reason why I mention time here, which is a bit contradictory when I say that the results are not important, the more time you spend on the race course, the less time you have to recover. Also, let's not forget that when you sit on the bike and you go down descent, pretty much what effort you are using, you are just coasting down, well, with some skills. Where you walk, it's extremely steep, like your muscles don't thank you at all. Not necessarily from the time perspective, but you are expending energy for bad cause. If on the stage 2 I was hoping to just somehow reach the finish, pretty much was the same on the stage 3 as well. Also because of the fact that there was quite a mismatch from GPXs which we had, which was shared online versus what was actually, in my opinion, 5 kilometers on the race course is quite significant difference between the GPX, and then you are not exactly sure. Well, yeah, you know that you should follow the arrows, but if such mismatch happens like it happened on stage 2, where GPX is not exactly clear, we don't, or we missed arrows, who to follow then? So of course you have to go back, look around, etc. But usually I would just appreciate that GPXs matches the race course, and that's 2 areas for confirmation is a lot better than no one. Just like I mentioned in Strava, I was extremely happy as well as surprised by how the personnel here worked. So I don't know where this idea came from. They had the bottles which you can pick, so it's kind of nice that you had a bottle in your starting package and you can just exchange that bottle. Some just exchange their bottles for those bottles. So if you want to have instant stop at the feed station, you just switch the bottles and you go. Myself, I stopped to drink some cola and took a few bananas, maybe some raisins as well. But in general, personnel was extremely happy, fast, with attention. So it was really nice experience there. There were a lot of those stoppages like feed stations, so 0 issues with water, 0 issues with well, with nutrition there was a bit on stage 3, but just because I had not enough gels taken with me, and then those 5 more kilometers added a bit, but I survived. On the finish straight I almost fell. I can't say that it was because I was super tired, etc., but I tried to unlock the suspension and somehow I got a wiggle, but all went fine. In general, most of the days, not most, all of the days I've been in top 10 out of almost 40 in age group and top 40 out of 140 in overall marathon A. As always, when I participate in a race, I think about alternative, which is closest alike like this one is. And to be honest, I don't think that there are any descents where I had to walk that much. I never experienced that, never ever. Maybe the closest could have been in Costa Blanca if I haven't done any recons and went it from the first side, but even that, the time it would take me to walk it compared to what it took here is like incomparable, because keep in mind that downhill sections here are pretty much enduro alike, either through the steepness or through the looseness or through the terrain surface. So all in all, if we think about the closest to this race location, which is Bike Adventure or Sudeti MTB Challenge. They are incomparable because descents here are significantly harder. If you think about steepness, looseness, and terrain roughness, maybe we can add also slippiness. Everything can be found here, and I wouldn't say necessarily that it's fun doing that. So if you ever want to race in MTB Trilogy or any race in this region of Czech Republic and borderline of Poland, I would strongly suggest you to come here at least few days before the race happens, check the hardest sections, just to make yourself more comfortable in the terrain, unless you are already coming from the terrain like that and you are just can go anywhere pretty much blindly. That's good for you. For me, it's not the case, and I here had extremely hard time. Did it knock my confidence? I would say a bit, but at the same time, Ivars, who's been recording on boards with our camera, is pretty much similar technical abilities, a bit better, I would say, but his speed in descents comes from courage, where I lack that. But I would say that he's slightly better than me in all the technical stuff when it comes to sections down. And he's been having here quite a struggle in some areas as well, a bit better than me, but pretty much quite significant amount of struggles and walking. So that just showcases that if you are coming from sea level of Latvia or Lithuania in a few days time frame, it's just not enough to get used to it unless you are already very much familiar with that. With that being said, thanks a lot, Ivars, for carrying the camera. It's too bad that there were some recording issues this time around. I will add those on board separately on the other channel, which I've been talking about for quite a while. We'll see how that goes. That was my 4th stage race this season, and it's beginning of July already, and I can tell you that I'm already getting a bit tired. So that being said, I might take a bit of a break from racing, refresh myself a bit, and we'll see where the roads will take me in the near future. And last but not least, verdict of this race: if you like enduro descents, you should definitely check those areas, because those downhills are natural, very steep, very loose, and quite technical. It's nothing like the bike park experience. It's like proper. Like always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I will try to respond them the best I can. I could have found a better place for recording because it's really nice there, but I just didn't want to kill myself. I am really surprised, because other times, if someone would have told me that I rode here, I mean, I don't know, I would scratch my head probably, and I would say, maybe.